that S key. Let's get the ball rolling here. It's Cafe Dostoevsky. However you say that last word, that's why we just call it Cafe. We're going to be getting things down and jiggy with it between OutDuced and Sinister.
Say it again. Say it again.
Cafe Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky.
Say.
Dostoevsky.
What is the name of the company? The German airline.
No, don't do this to me right now.
Say the German airline.
Lufthansa?
Oh.
Did I get it right this time?
The first time I heard Sam
Is it Lufthansa?
Lufthansa. The first time Sam tried to say Lufthansa, it was the garbliest garble of all the garble.
Why do you hate me so much?
It was charming. It was grand. It was absolutely grand.
We're gonna have Nomad and Buck banned, by the way, besides me being able to not pronunciate anything that isn't English. So
Buck is gone again. People
just don't like Buck, and honestly, I can see why. Cafe is kind of a weird spot to remove him. I understood it on Coastal. We've seen that quite often happen inside of Pro League lands, wherever, especially inside of LATAM. They hate Buck. They despise that man. But Maestro being removed next, we also get that. The Ulda, very powerful weapon. The Evil Eye is also very annoying. Then we're going to have Legion banned out. You can launch him into the sun as well. But the big one for me here, Parker, is going to be the Nomad ban. You want to bring us through that one?
The Nomad ban on Cafe Dostoevsky coming in. Obviously, the way that Nomad can be played here, and does see quite a lot of play. Number one, there's a lot of run out potential on the cocktail windows side of things. You've got the reading doorway, you've got the double windows, you've also got the white stairs window. Then you've got run out potential or jump out potential on the other side of the map as well. So there's an awful lot for you. I mean, Nomad's a pretty obvious ban on a lot of maps, especially if you know that somebody's playing it quite regularly. And in this case, I'm not too surprised to see it. The Buck ban is once again interesting because we've now had 2 Buck bans in one day. Not exactly commonplace to see. You might see a Buck ban here. There are a lot of teams used to ban Buck against TSM when Achieved was, the madman on it.
Literally unstoppable. Like you just couldn't kill him. It seemed that he didn't have a hitbox. It was truly something to behold. But I honestly think that the main thing for me out of these operator ban ups is the Buck and the Nomad. And the main thing is because on offense on this side, it's already a very difficult thing to pull off. It takes a lot of structure. It takes the proper checklist that we were talking about, like on Coastline. Coastline doesn't have a very long list of things in order to achieve a plant. This map, completely different. There's a lot of things you have to worry about at any given moment in time on Cafe. And the defense can run rampant if they are not shut down properly.
Yeah. And I mean, you can bring a gridlock here too. And I mean, we've seen teams utilize gridlock so effectively to cut down flank routes. The F90 is an excellent weapon that I think people are starting to realize more of. She's a 3 armor, so she can usually tank enough bullets, especially with the fact that there's almost always going to be an ACOG on the board. And obviously the damage for the ACOG has been nerfed a teeny tiny bit. In fact, you've got some low damage guns, high rate of fire, but low damage guns in play on defense as well. So, I mean, yeah, I think gridlock would have been a good option here. We'll see as time goes on what they opt for.
Yeah, I honestly do think it's funny though that just on a side note for Nomad's lore that she doesn't enjoy killing animals because that's why she invented the air jab in the first place. But she has, no qualms with knocking someone down than shooting them in the face on the ground at all. I just think that's kind of comical that she's like, oh, animals, nah, but people, perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. It's okay. But on a side note, before we do get fully on into this map, everyone, remember that all of the donations, subs, bits, everything going towards the CCS channel does go immediately into the prize pool. There's not a single cent, not a single dollar pulled from any of the donation subs, bits. Anything that you give to the channel goes immediately into the prize pool for the CCS Women's League. So make sure if you guys are planning to sub, donate, what have you, you get your fill, you get those emotes. We've unlocked 8 emotes today. Just today, unlocked 8 emotes. If you guys want to continue that streak, make sure to get your guys' subs in, donations, what have you.
Just for the low price of your Twitch Prime sub, every 30 days, you can use it on your favorite content creating channel. Lady Brutal guns down Hanamitsu, I've been told is a sub, by the way, so Hana's gone. And Valkyrie, okay, not the end of the world. I'm seeing a red dot sighted 556 here on the Thermite, and that is a sight to behold, if I am being completely honest with you. Not very common to see that at all.
That's a year 1 setup.
That is indeed a year one setup, but that's okay.
It's a year one setup in general. Honestly, if we're just looking at, I'm now just digesting what we're currently looking at. We actually have a mirror setup, Parker, that is facing in towards Freezer, and then they destructed the entire wall across on the other end of Freezer to look into Christmas, which is something we have not seen in a very long time.
And down goes Lady Brutal, and it looks like there could be another lined up here. 30 seconds left. Swinging on in, Kitbull watching the doorway very intently. Nobody pressuring, at least for the time being. But if you're Sinister, you got to hustle. You got an advantage. Press that advantage, at least for the time being, when it comes to health. Goodbye, Kitbull. Returning fire from Mo as Yasters takes out Blue. And we're back at a 3v3. Diffuser going down. Right now, Anxiety needs some coverage. It's all in the hands of Kai Pistols. She can't hit anything. Down she goes to the C4 as Mo is very victorious in that endeavor. E-Girl falls, or E-Girl gets a kill, rather. Anxiety falls, and it's all onto E-Girl. Diffuser down. We'll have to watch it swiftly beheading Mo, and it's Yazzer's turn on deck. Pushing on up, creeping very intently in the very first round here. As a Diffuser, and we'll need to stick it at some point. E-Girl will get the call, but you have to go. Yazzer's falls off, expecting a push, knows that they're playing around New Hatch. Fires into the Humidor, but the longer that this clock ticked down, the better that it goes for Team Sinister Red. Pushing on up, the smoke does, but right into the crosshairs of E-Girl, and that is it. Say goodbyes. Team Sinister Red, with their red skins on their guns, are going to take round number 1.
We'll give him a ring around the rosy to wrap up round 1 with a bow, and the defense now has an opportunity to go anywhere they choose. So they can head back upstairs, possibly go down to kitchen. We've seen every single site on this map played effectively, so they really have the cream of the crop here. All 4 sites being able to be played. You don't have to worry too much about what you have to have for your tertiary site because they all work. Sinister, though, had other plans, and this time it is going to work out. A late plant actually going down in a very peculiar spot. They broke open the bar area to where they can see all the default locations for planting inside of the bar area, but it still did not end up working out for OutDuced in the end. They actually ended up getting OutDuced. They got the plant down, immediately rotated back over to new drop, and had their way with the round.
That's a good summation with it. You really need to be able to patrol those hatches correctly. When you got a mirror set up like that, you have so much information handy, and you have so much at your disposal that you should be able to return fire pretty quickly. Kind of surprising, rather, that we didn't really see all that much come out of them. And the attackers bringing the double hard breach, you're going to be able to pick apart your defense unless you are aggressive. You know, I like what we're seeing here right now.
It's a lot more default, yeah.
Yeah.
You can stop worrying about grenades now.
I would personally have to say I like the Castle pickup. They're bringing Castle in order to be able to play white. Going to play Jaeger over there more than like with Trip, with those ADSs making it a lot more difficult to get him out of that bunker type setup on the top of white stairs. But this offense is going to have quite a few more hurdles to hop through, especially with Mosmo playing downstairs, which is something we see quite often. You can use those Artilla Electro Claws downstairs inside of Reading to throw them up in the corner. You can electrify both walls, in fact. Both walls of Freezer, one going into Christmas, one going into Bathroom. And they do have the EMP of Thatcher, though. So this could actually just end up playing right into the hands of the offense. We'll have to see how it ends up breaking down, because we have seen quite a few utility blunders happen so far. We'll see if Sinister can possibly try and clean it up in general.
This is Jackal on the entry here. Kai was good last time around. She did her job trying to make sure that there was a successful plant going down. We've seen this before. The Electric Claw goes down below, and it electrifies the double wall by Red Hatch. Mo, at least for the time being, is out of utility. Nitro cell in hand, waiting for Kai to peek around the corner, and the AUG is not the best gun. You got the PDW in the hands of the Jackal, and Team Sinister Red will open things up. Takes a little bit over a minute. You've now got Trip down below, having to come on in, but she's going to get Jackal tracked. And it's Kai once again on the hunt, trying to find Jaeger. Very ironic there, given his name. Seeing if you can possibly bait somebody on into an altercation. Kitbull knows that 2 charges of the ADS utilized. Flash goes in good proximity. The dog has some covering fire. Jaeger will push on up. And you've got Hana there too. Down goes blue. Team Sinister Red falling right into this trap that was set by OutDuced. And with just about a minute to go, OD is going to take the lead right back.
2 quick frags, and this is going to be a lot of damage down. Continuing now as Lady Brutal's going to get peeked from Pixel. A quick pickup from Kitbull. And Jackal, we thought they had it with that initial frag downstairs, had everything they possibly need, but Kai with a nice shot from that ACOG. Still has one to worry about in the corner, but this is not going to work out two-handedly. Oh, gets caught with utility in hand. That's not what you want to happen. Kai goes down, but she did all of a sudden make this a lot more winnable for the last remaining member of Sinister. It's going to be E-Girl, not very much health, does have an EMP though, she could possibly use to try and mask any of her movement. The EMP's detonation so very loud that you can't even hear footsteps when it goes off. She is going to creep in now, though. Not too much information gain on the defense either. No evil eyes, no yokais. She creeps towards the freezer door, but yes, lies in the waits. And that's going to be a quick shot from the SMG-11. Don't even really have to hit the head with that gun, but she is going to do so. Just flexing on the offense as they do pick up their very first round.
Keep in mind, coming into this, Team Sinister Red is sitting in second last. They're not going to appreciate the fact that I'm bringing attention to it yet again, but I can tell you that they're going to need to pick up some major points here. You know, they're starting on attack on Cafe Dostoevsky. It's very likely that the defenders will be able to win probably more of the rounds, just simply with the way that we've seen Cafe playing out recently. But I mean, even a good showing here from Sinister Red is going to go a long way. You know, we heard after we went through the roster changes, or rather the rosters, that there was a roster change from Sinister Red. Blue is now a starter. Garbage was moved off of the roster. So there's a change there. Hanamitsu subbing in on OutDuced. Who knows if that's a deliberate sub, possibly a tryout, whether there's actually any turmoil in the roster. That's not speculation that we should really be indulging in all that much. But if Hanamitsu is playing in a position where she necessarily shouldn't be or always is, then this isn't a good spot for Team Sinister Red to be able to possibly capitalize off of a team that is ahead of them in the standings, having a disadvantage with a sub, because whether we like to admit it or not, most of the time that there's a sub playing, it's going to weaken the roster of that team. Last round didn't really show it all that much, but the first round, I think it was decently on display.
Well, a little bit of an update on these two rosters, in fact, Park. We had OutDuced, who won last week versus Slaughterhouse, who we saw just lose by a very tight margin to Axios. And we have Team Sinister Red, who lost last week to Queen YOLO Mid, which has been one of the most dominant teams in all of the CCS Women's League so far.
What a great name as well.
Oh, fantastic. Especially with Ashton on the team as well. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's a great name. So this setup that we see right now from Mosmo over by the bakery, as it's a defense downstairs in the very first floor. I want to say downstairs because so much of Cafe is vertical and you often see a lot of action up top. This setup that we saw inside a bakery with the deployable shield there is very popular, especially if you've got an ADS or two nearby. It makes it exceptionally challenging to get pushed from the main door. Right now where Mosmo is looking, you could also support it with a castle or some reinforcements behind you so that you don't really have to worry too much about getting pushed from the window that leads in just off of bakery. It's strategically placed so that you can cover multiple angles at one time.
All right, well, Sinister going for a top-down take here. And this is something that, traditionally speaking, we used to see quite often on the old version of Hereford. That's so far gone now at this point, especially with the update and Hereford not being in the map pool for a very, very long time. But it always works out. Top-down is not a bad way to handle things. It's actually extremely default. Knock all the roamers downstairs unless they want to try and make a stance for map pressure. But a lot of the times, especially in younger comp, it's either fight or flight situation for a lot of people, where it's either they're going to get overly aggressive or immediately rotate back to site, try and play their utility, play that life instead of giving it up to the offense, especially with Kai here with Jackal, which Jackal in particular makes things a lot easier for younger teams because it's almost instant coordination. You find the roamer's footsteps, mark them out real quick. They get marked 5 times, and you really don't have to worry too much, unless obviously it's a Caviera, about where they could possibly be. But as soon as I talk about Kai, she's going to die. Caster Curse in tail.
You've still got smokes in the hands of Lady Brutal, so not all hope is lost. The Capitao is still ripe with utility, at least for the time being. You can utilize it, but oh, Trip peaks and Lady Brutal is gone. This Jaeger cannot be shaken out of reception, at least for the time being. She's answering all the calls inside of reception. This is going to put a challenging situation and make it even worse for Team Sinister Red because they still haven't done really much as this Jaeger is just going to continue to creep on up. You have the hallway leading to the back of the freezer where you're likely going to see some hard destruction go down. Anxiety's opened it up. She can walk in, but Trip is here. There you go. Goodbye to the thermite. Diffuser down as well. 3 huge kills. E-Girl bursts on in. Can't do much around the deployable shield. She's knocked down, and it's Blue in a 1v4, but it's a 4K from Trip. What a wonderful performance, and OutDuced will pick up their 2nd round in a row.
One of the hardest things to try and, sharpen your mind on inside of Siege, Parker, is IGLing and trying to be that person that makes the calls, has to force those rotations, especially on offense. Offense is such a hard thing in this game because of the amount of coordination it takes to get things done properly. And without, a lot of comp experience, it's all the more harder because all it is just, hey, played quite a bit of ranked. All these women, obviously skilled in their own right. But when you have to come together to try and mesh as a team, it makes it extremely difficult, especially for calls like that, where, okay, we have Jaeger inside of the bar area. We have to try and get her out of there. Otherwise, it's going to be an immediate punish. This time around, just not working out for them. They just tried to go for the freezer wall and immediately were thwarted by the Jaeger just peeking over and over again. And they just did not seem to have an answer for that. A lot of the times you'll see, okay, we go with our drone play. We see exactly where things are currently lying, and then we execute from that information. It seems that a lot of the times, especially right now, it's we have our game plan. This is how we execute. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out.
That was a tough position to be in. I mean, you really have to endeavor to be able to drone effectively. This is now the 2nd game in a row where we're seeing that there are issues with drone work and entry. And you mentioned it yourself. These are still roughly new teams. This is a new league. A lot of these teams are possibly undergoing roster changes. Maybe they're undergoing role swaps because they don't have an abundance of time to be able to get their footing when it comes to, the CCS Women's League. There's not I mean, we're in the 3rd play day right now, but there's, it's not like they have 6 months to iron these issues out, Sam. So they have to learn on the fly. A lot of these women who might not have played with each other until a month or so ago. And now they're going to have to learn how to pull off a successful execute with good coordination and great drone work. That, I think a lot of people would argue that attacking and pulling out attacking strategies is a little bit harder than coming out with defensive strategies.
Absolutely.
And that's especially important and especially of significance when it comes to using your drones effectively, because there is a drone economy. I know that term sounds silly, but there's a drone economy. You have 10 drones. That's it. If you lose them in the prep phase, that's information that you will never get back, at least for the remainder of the round. You need to be able to capitalize it when you see it. And in this case, Trip was able to exist for far too long, given what you saw from Team Sinister Red.
Yeah, that's immediately punishable, especially with that information gain. As you said, drone economy, a massive thing in this game, but it's one of those things that is a lot more difficult to translate than you'd think, especially since, we only know the information of the one player. We know that Trip has all of her barbed wire down, has all of her ADSs down. We know Kit has 1 nitro cell. Don't know the amount of drones, don't know any of that kind of stuff. So it's a very difficult thing to translate and go, okay, are they out of drones? Are they out of information gain? What currently is going on with this situation? It just, especially that early in the round, they had plenty of drones to be able to know exactly what was going on, and Trip definitely doesn't know what's going on anymore as all of her brains are currently on the floor of Cafe. Kit going to fall in tow as well as Kai tax for 2. Now motioning over towards White. Still plenty of information gain to be had with that eye-knock sensor. Mo going to play out her life because you definitely do not want to peek into Kai right now. She's on an absolute burner.
Kai's been playing exceptionally well so far from what we've seen, at least on Jackal, one of the main entry points. And if Blue is just coming onto the roster, playing as Sledge, she's likely going to be one of your entries as well. And when you have her as one of your entries, well, she might not be the most comfortable because she's still relatively new to the team, or at least we assume she's relatively new to the team, which means that Kai's going to have to shoulder a bit more of that load. And she's doing an exceptional job so far. She gets it down. She's a hair away from her 3rd kill now. The Valkyrie will need to be collected at some point. And OutDuced, man, they are in significant trouble. Cooked alive is the smoke. He'll try to fire his way out. Mo smoke collected by E-Girl, and now it's just a hair of HP for the smoke. Yasser's up, and then Yasser's down. And it's Kai getting credited for the kill on Hanamitsu, but the asphyxiating bolt doing the rest of the job. And it's 2-2 now.
Very interesting attack here by Sinister. Once again, we see the top-down strategy come through, Parker, and it ends up working out for them. Again, Cafe, an extremely hard map to attack comparative to what else is in the pool. I mean, I don't really think that there's anything inside of our map pool currently that rivals the difficulty of Cafe. Even after the remake, or excuse me, the map buff, it's still a very difficult map in order to get correctly on the offense just because of the amount of things you have to be worried about at any given moment in time.
Back up to Bar and Cocktail. They're going to go into the safety of one of probably the most defendable sites here, bringing a Mozzie, which is very common. Mozzie has an extraordinarily large impact on this site in particular. There's a lot of very narrow doorways at which his pests are incredibly effective at being able to grab drones. You've also got 2 staircases that need to be used by the attackers. And if you throw a drone up there, there's a pest in the middle landing or somewhere on the stairs. A lot of times it's too late for you to really be able to do anything. They're going to grab that drone and it's intel. But more importantly, on this site, Mozzie acts a lot as a denial operator. His pests are going to prevent you, or at least deter you from being able to get your drones into positions that you need or want them to be in, unless you're able to clear out the pests, which thankfully E-Girl is playing Thatcher, so it's not too difficult. You can also just shoot the pests if you really want. So there's tools there for the attackers, but it's still, at least for the time being, it's going to be a bit of a headache. And if you are as ineffective as we saw from Team Sinister Red in a couple rounds ago at droning, then Mozzie is going to have a very profound impact on the way that they play and gather that information.
Well, looks to be the exact same attack that Sinister has really been using this entire time, but obviously with a touch of a twist, don't have to worry nearly as much as what's going on downstairs, have to be worried about what's on the forefront, which is obviously this massive amount of defense that they're going to have on the site. Have to gain Christmas control. There's quite a few other things you need to worry about, but Mo already stepping just wrong. And this is the big thing about Jackal. If you walk through the map wrong, if you path incorrectly, that's instant information for the offense. And this time she's going to path down red stairs, which means she has to abandon ship downstairs. She doesn't know what's coming. Plenty of soft destruction downstairs to be shot through. Much better idea to rotate out and then try and rotate back downstairs later on.
I'm going to put these Valkyrie cameras in a position where you can keep your information relevant. A lot of teams will throw the Valkyrie cameras outside, and when you're defending Bar Cocktail, if the attackers don't go the route that you want them to, then those Valkyrie cameras end up being pretty weak, to be honest, and they don't really do what you expect them to do in regards to relevant information. So just by the fact that there's a Valkyrie camera in Christmas, which I think just got shot actually, that's going to mean that there's less information now available. It's going to essentially put a little bit more patience in the defenders because they can't peek into piano as effectively anymore. This also means that Trip playing on White Stairs is going to be an incredible tool here. She's going to be the literal beachhead when they try to push on up. She's going to be the gatekeeper. Down goes Lady Brutal, so one of your hard breachers gone if you're the attackers. In this instance, that's troubling. Anxiety's been able to open up at least one wall. I think she might have used 2 by this point. Yes, I think exactly she's been able to open up 2. So you've got freer passage on in, and that's going to be tricky for Hanamitsu, as if Trip falls, Hanamitsu ends up in a world of hurt. But for the time being, Team Sinister appears to just be going on into the bar backstore, and Hanamitsu finds 1. Down goes Kai.
That seems to be a much more put together Sinister, but as I say that too, are going to fall. A quick third as well as a rotation comes in, but it's actually going to be Anxiety that capitalizes. All of a sudden, she's alone on an island with 3 to find, and Trip's going to make sure to capitalize on that. OutDuced making it out alive in round 5, taking the lead once again. But I will say this, Sinister's doing a very good job of, once again, the checklist. Especially on Cafe, it's a very big deal. They get open the mini bar wall, get control of Christmas, make sure no one can pressure White Hallway, even though someone is playing inside of a bathroom. We saw the Valkyrie inside of there. Get the Christmas wall open, and then that's the point where you start trying to get those picks, trying to get your diffuser down, what have you. But For this, we saw a little bit of overcompensation onto Whitehall as they tried to get Trip off of White stairs, but just handled it a little bit too aggressively, especially since 9 times out of 10 they play ADSs on that staircase. They tried to handle it with frag grenades, but again, a little bit of an overcompensation onto the door frame ends up being extremely punishing. They lose quite a few bodies just to that one angle, and that just spelled disaster for the rest of the round.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as
This
many
is,
bombs as they can.
Go downstairs, and I'm looking at this lineup here right now, and I like what I see. They're bringing a lot of the same things that worked out last time, and I mean,
I like that they're sticking on the Mozzie, by the way. I really, really like that pickup.
Mozzie's so good on Cafe when you think about it, right? And I mean, I think Mozzie has a place on a lot of maps. I think some teams don't necessarily need to rely on that denial or the information that he comes with. He's got a great kit as well. It's great that his utility is so strong, but you can ride either the Roni or the Commando. A lot of people have been favoring the Commando recently. I don't know if you've noticed that. A lot of the teams started out on the Roni, and many of the players are starting to swap on over to the Commando. I wonder if it's just simply that the Roni has a smaller magazine and runs out faster. I'm not entirely sure. I'd be interested to actually pick the brains of the teams. I've always thought that the Commando was a superior weapon. It feels better. Has basically no recoil.
You're right in both categories. It really is just, what's your flavor of ice cream? Mine's chocolate, yours vanilla. Like, it's literally, it does the same thing. It's just literally, do I want a gun that has higher fire rate with less mag capacity? Or do I want a gun that has more mag capacity, still does about the same damage, but has less fire rate? The beauty of the Roni is that you can ADS faster, but they both have angled. So really just the beauty is the rate of fire, Parker. That's really it. The damage margins with the rate of fire are almost the same, honestly. Just the Commando has a farther drop off. The extended barrel still adds some range to the Roni, but the Commando at the end of the day is more or less a subcompact assault rifle, whereas the Roni is a true to the name SMG.
Sam, you're also overlooking the most important factor of the Commando is that you get +5 to Skinergy for how cool the reload is. And obviously,
absolutely.
If you're not Skinergizing, then what's the whole point of this thing?
You got to style on them, Parker. You have to style on them.
If you're not getting style and profiling, man.
Exactly. It's the Bolo special. If you're not styling on your enemies, then are you really playing the game?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You've seen me stream. I don't really play this game to begin with, Sam, so...
You're not bad. You're not bad at all.
Down goes Anxiety. Singular hard breacher. On Cafe, you usually want to double up. A lot of teams will run a Hibana, especially when you know it's going to be downstairs. And in this instance, that's real rough. That's probably the worst operator that Team Sinister Red could have lost. You're going to have far less ability to get into the site than you did a couple seconds ago, and it can actually be a pretty damning halt to whatever execute you're looking to pull off here.
I like the soft destruction that the offense has brought upstairs. They've definitely done their due diligence. You can see the amount of sledge work done, and 2 quick kills, 2 bodies fall, and all of a sudden they have man count. But again, as Parker was saying, no thermite in order to help. Oh my goodness, Lady Brutal with a quick move as well. The Para still definitely a fantastic rifle, even though that M249 is in the weights for Capitao as well, but it's working out now. 2v2 all of a sudden, E-Girl as well as Lady Brutal playing inside a box. We do have some vertical pressure here by Trip, not able to get too much damage down, but E-Girl will go down. Lady Brutal definitely going to have to play it out correctly, but the Nitro Cell, a quick call and a double quick kill. As a wise Canadian once said, I know when that hotline bling, that can only mean one thing, Parker, and it's going to be 2 kills.
Well, we've seen a couple great Nitro Cells go out now. That's the second one that comes to mind, and it's Hanamitsu, of course, who does it, who was an incredibly important factor in the previous round, sitting inside of that bathroom watching Barback store and gunning everybody down as they crossed into her path, and now, of course, making it work with the C4 and picking up 2 very big kills to give them and give OD an even greater lead. So this matchup, at least for now, if you read the tea leaves, doesn't appear to be quite as close as what we saw in our very first matchup between Slaughterhouse and Axios. And I mean, so far, I really like what I've seen from a lot of OutDuced, and especially the way that Hanamitsu is playing these roles. You know, you're playing the low recoil 2 speeds in positions where you're probably doing work with calls and cams and stuff like that, which is great. But you've also got a lot of fragging potential on it. A bit of a rough debut through 6 rounds for Blue so far, and not to obviously put anybody down, but when you're playing entry roles and you've only been able to pick up 1 kill so far, you might need a role swap in the future there, or you just might need more time to acclimate to those roles. I'm not necessarily certain the whole speculation, so I don't want to come across as mean-spirited or anything like that, but at least so far what we've seen, you know, if Team Sinister is able to rely on having their fragging players frag a little bit better, and maybe not just necessarily have Kai, who's had some pretty outstanding rounds, work it, then I think we can get a much closer game heading through this half. And as I touched upon in the second round, it's Cafe. A 4-2 split for the defense on Cafe is pretty par for the course. So, you know, I'm not really seeing a lot from OutDuced that lead me to believe this is going to be a blowout, but they definitely did, I would say, look like the better team through the first half.
For me, especially on this map, it's just a telltale sign of how good a team is how they handle their offense on Cafe. Because as we said, it's a beast of a map in order to try and handle things properly. And we even see pro teams get it wrong, Parker. And it's not a routine thing where you see teams go, you know, 5-1 on the offensive side on this map. It's a very difficult map to be able to pull something like that off. So we'll have to see what OutDuced can possibly try and attribute to this offensive side. They need 3 rounds on this offense to win it in regulation. We might be heading towards an overtime if Sinister is going to all of a sudden be playing very aggressive. We do have Kai, speaking of aggression, playing inside of Christmas, which is something we don't see very often. It's usually an area of the map that is marked as no man's land for the defense because of the amount of window pressure and everything else you can possibly get on this area of the map. And Trip already going to find someone that's exactly where she's going to align her sights. Rotate over to a window, try and get some pressure on Kai, force a rotation, maybe get them to rotate over towards new balcony where they could possibly have another member of OutDuced lying in the weights.
Just waiting on Repel here. Still utility in the hands of Capital. You got 90 seconds left. You've got time to burn. Pardon the pun. It's a powerful position to be on, especially when you know that you have to go into a cocktail take. Kai has recalled the sight off of White Stairs, watching the Capitao, just see if maybe the gun barrel will swing onto the window. Oh, a nice shot from Kai. He'll cut Mo right down. It's traded off of, though, Anxiety dying early, and Anxiety has lost her life a couple times early now. As a mute, it's not the end of the world. That could have been your only Nitro Cell, depending on what Kai is running in her loadout. Mozzie, obviously, of course, having access to the Nitro Cell if required. And yes, Kai is holding Nitro Cell. You still got some explosive potential. Yokai drone being used to stall Kit's Thermite. I don't know if that's the best use of it, because I believe they lost the Yokai drone at the same time. But you've opened up the wall inside of back bar storage, and it's a 4v4 with just about 40 seconds left, Sam.
Trippy inside of Frieza's PowerPoint position here, but she's going to get immediately removed from Egro playing inside of bathroom. Blue to attack on as well. And this is the danger of attacking Cafe as they get ran through the grinder, and Sinister Red finds their first defensive round. Again, this is something that is just extremely hard because you can really just give up Freezer, Parker, and just play it off of utility, especially when it's late into the round. Prevent White Hallway. That's the entire backbone of the site. If you're able to hold that down, they have to try and funnel in, and it's just a quick dispatch of whoever tries to peek.
Another defense downstairs of Kitchen will be the first crack at it for Team Sinister Red, but we'll see if they do anything a little bit differently. They're bringing out a Castle and a Kaid, so there's going to be a change up there from them. Just a quick reference here to the scoreboard. Trip is doing what needs to be done because you're an Ashe player or a Jaeger player. You should be topping your team in frags. For people that are just tuning in, because I know that there's going to be a certain portion of the audience for the CCS Women's League that might not be as familiarized with watching Pro League at this level, at least, or at least watching competition at this level.
Oh yeah, you retired from that, right?
Yeah, I caught I caught Ligma, so I'm on sick leave, Sam, you know?
You know who Joe is?
Who's Joe, Sam?
Joe Mama, Parker.
Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it.
You said for people that haven't watched as much Pro League as others because obviously CCS Women's, yada yada yada. Finish your thought.
Okay. They're one of the roles that you're going to see here is entry and second entry, and you're going to have that on Rome as well, and a lot of people will wonder exactly what that is. A big part of why I highlighted blue was because she is playing on a role that usually needs to top the scoreboard. You should at least be in the top 2, maybe top 3. Anything less than that on those roles is usually seen as not being, I guess, the most effective at what you need to do, not the most proficient. And in this case in particular, you see somebody like Trip who's using almost identical roles and is being used in a very similar way and is topping the charts right now. And that's what you need to see. So I just wanted to give some greater context because I don't want Blue to watch this back and think that I was being mean-spirited, and I don't want other people who are fans thinking the same thing. But you need to give some praise to the Ash here because right now, Tripri is doing an excellent job, and she's got some support for her team, no doubt. I doubt that she's just doing this on her own.
Oh,
Kai could have possibly just picked up 2 kills there, but speak of the devil, and the devil shall appear. And it's Tripri all in, and down goes Kai, and that C4 is removed as well.
how greatly timed by Trip and just poor timing for Kai. And that's something that this game will show you time and time again, that no matter how good you are, you're all on someone else's time. And it's definitely going to show its face once again here. Only halfway through the clock now, though, as this defensive hold is still working out pretty well. A top-down clear for OutDuced, as we saw Sinister Red fall into the exact same tracks. That's what the offense is now doing. So some soft destruction now by what seems to be everyone on the offense, breaching charges, secondary shotguns, breaching rounds from Ash, everyone doing their due diligence to try and find a proper angle in order to find them yet another pick. Still plenty of defensive backbone to cut down through, though, as we do still have Echo on the board, as well as that dangerous TCSG shotgun in the hands of E-Girl.
Blue waiting here with possibly some kills lined up. You've got 5 on the board. You've got an opportunity to begin to add to your tally, which she's going to need to do. Hanamitsu, the sub so far for OutDuced, gets another. Down goes Lady Brutal. Your Echo is removed. There you go, Blue. The head of Yasser is completely removed. Who's next on deck? Anxiety off the board. Hanamitsu finds kill number 2. Blue cannot outduel Tripri as the Ash will barge on in, leaving E-Girl in a 1v4. Not the greatest kit on Kaid. Right now, just situated in a position where she can't be wall banged at all, but there's going to be a lot of guns looking her way, and it's Tripri with yet another so effective in that round and is making this game her own. OutDuced will pick up the round, and I'd imagine we're probably going to see another kitchen defense from Team Sinister Red.
So very long time, almost as long as this game has been out, Parker. Obviously, we've had roles inside of this game, and they've switched up, obviously, since the early days of Siege, where you had your 2 entries, a flex, and then your 2 support players. Nowadays, we more see 2 entry players and then 3 flexes. We sometimes see 1 hard support that will just play the Thermite and your, Maestro or what have you, or your Smoke. We see that pretty often, where it's just 2 flexes, 2 entries, and 1 hard support. But with those roles, it's very hard to highlight a lot of things that are good about each role or how to perform the role correctly. Trip is doing a fantastic job of what an entry fragger is supposed to be. Play patiently, yes, but when it's your time to go, then you need to go. And Trip has been doing a fantastic job of being patient, but still being aggressive. That's something extremely difficult to get correct on your entry frag role. A lot of the times we'll just see people throw themselves to the wind for absolutely no reason, no intel, nothing, just sprinting into an angle, and they get torn apart because of that. But Trip is playing patiently, playing out the info that her team gathers for her. It's been a sight to behold so far, especially, again, on such a young comp team.
I think a lot of people discredit how much work needs to be done for teams that are largely being assembled for this league, right? The interest that came in was kind of, honestly, it kind of surprised me with how quickly teams filled up. I expected them all to fill, but there was a huge amount of enthusiasm that was brought to the table with the announcement of this league. And you've now got, there's 10 teams in this league, and you've got 5 players on each. So you're looking at 50 players, possible coaches, many of whom may not have really played dedicated competitive Rainbow Six outside of ranked or the odd Go for. That's a huge learning curve. I think a lot of people kind of glaze over that and overlook that. it's the same with any league. It's not a gender specific thing. So the amount of time and effort that needs to go in to develop these strategies, suss out your roles, figure out who's playing what, get proper communication down, learn your call outs to the point where you can relay them quickly enough and clearly. It's not easy work. And I've been very impressed with a lot of what we've seen over the last 3 weeks with teams being able to overcome, the beginner blues or adversity very, very quickly. And so far with OutDuced, I don't know if they are very well practiced on Cafe, but it certainly looks like it to a certain extent. Team Sinister Red don't look the most comfortable on here, but they've won a couple gunfights, and that's turned a couple rounds around for them.
Oh, a yokai drone's going to go down as well. Lady Brutal trying to use it as a makeshift drone to gain information upstairs will lose one of her beloveds. Now we're going to see the exact same soft destruction we saw last round on the kitchen attack here for OutDuced, as all of the safe haven downstairs will quickly be dispatched. And it's going to be a very barren area very, very soon. E-Girl trying to play close to the freezer door, as that's a very odd area, so you're more than likely not going to see any soft destruction. Again, we have drone play coming out, and this is exactly what you want to see if you're an OutDuced fan. Drone goes in, Kai in a very, very dangerous spot now. That tree's not bulletproof either, as Yazzers moves in. She does have one in behind her as well, as Yazzers is trying to act as the entry fragger. Oh no, on the tailcoats, not enough damage, going to hop over and gets immediately taken down by Trip after a quick move. And that's the beauty of those 3-speed operators, able to rotate so very quickly and catches Blue off guard.
Once again, Trip is just an absolute bulldozer right now. Nothing is being able to stop her whatsoever, but Anxiety in a power play position. If she peeks, she's got Trippery lined up. The UMP wins a rare gunfight bang on, and will now go for yet another. There's a castle barricade that will separate her from Yasser, so the Jackal will now enter the fray. C70 in hand, the powerful gun that should be able to outduel the UMP. The tide slowly turning for Team Sinister Red as the clock strikes closer towards 0. There's still utility here. You've got smokes if need be. On camera as Yasser's pushing on up. The guns come alive for the attackers. Down goes E-Girl. Lady Brutal now peeks on in on her own. Takes out Mosmo. Diffuser from Kitbull going down, but Anxiety presses up herself. It's all on to Hanamitsu and Kitbull with Anxiety down below. And Kitbull going for the plant very successfully. Can Anxiety do much? No, softens up a bunch of different bodies. And then from above, we'll be moving to match point as it's Hanamitsu, the sub. And so far, a big player and a great, I guess, addition, even if temporary so far, for OutDuced.
What a great name to say as well, right? Fantastic name.
It's a good one. It's a really
so
good one. Yeah.
Anyways, some good defense downstairs initially. I really thought they were going to end up winning it out, especially when Castle had the planner in her sights. But I'm going to assume a little bit of miscommunication there as the hot ping came in. We all saw it, but then she rotates towards the actual kitchen area and gets completely decimated from the verticality of Hanamitsu upstairs. And
It's a great name.
yeah, oh, dude, it's so good. Match point now, though, for the offense of OutDuced. And as Parker was talking about earlier, these standings, even though still young in information, are definitely telling the story of how CCS has been going so far. I will say that Blue, with the recent pickup, is helping out a little bit. Last week, we did not see Sinister as nearly coordinated as they are right now, but as we have been talking about throughout this entire day, it's still a very young league, very young comp players. No one really has, everything in hand going, this is how things should be handled. They can really only watch, the more experienced players and go, okay, this is kind of how they handle this stuff, but we don't hear their comms. We don't hear anything else. There's no manual to how to do this, Parker. There isn't. It's just, people's veteran experience going, hey, we've done this for 4 years at this point, and this is how you do this. There is no YouTube guide to how do I IGL this game.
Yeah. It's not easy. And right now, the calls that are being made from OutDuced are good. And there's been some miscoordination or missed coordination / uncoordination that we've seen from Team Sinister Red. And I obviously they enter this looking to try to pick up rounds as best as they can. I think they've won 6 rounds, so far through their 2 games, and that's 3 rounds average. They're on track right now to match that tally. So it's just there you go. You got rid of it. It's gone. Removed from play. 30 seconds on in, and, well, it's going to be a bar cocktail defense once again up top. And why not stick with what's worked so far? And that's exactly what OutDuced is doing.
It is indeed. Almost a minute in here now as drone play continues to ensue. Gonna break open Red Stairs hatch. Are gonna find some footprints, but Yazers wants to make sure that she is safe. Allows the drone to come in through train. Very good idea. Does not want to hop a window, you know, eyes on the prize per se, but somebody lying over in the right hand of the room could have possibly fragged her out. Would not have been the best trade. Some footprints on the ground for a dead body is definitely not what you want to see. We are having Trip now on the mini bar window. Might find some trouble now, though. She is trying to hold the cross, but we are going to see a Seek Anxiety rotate over into Pixel. They still have one to worry about inside of Christmas, though. It's going to be Kai playing close. Does still have that Nitro Cell as well, which could definitely help out with this now opened minibar wall.
It's Kai pushing on up. Down goes Trippery, and this could be a game changer. Trippery has been the best player on OutDuced so far through this matchup, getting a lot of accolades from both of us with the way that she has played her role so effectively, killing basically everything in her path. But it's Kai as well, who's been playing quite well, gets swung on by Mosmo, and you flushed out some control of Piano, but Anxiety is still there. MP7 in hand. We'll drop Mosmo, but there's no point indicator. Anxiety might not be aware of this. There's a Yokai on the board, and Kitbull has to be very concerned. Takes the head off of Anxiety, and you should be able to get Mosmo back up very fast. 45 seconds left, and Blue playing on White Stairs, watching the doorway. This is what we consider to be, as I've called it before, a power play position. E-Girl inside a bar back store will now move on over towards the bathrooms, shotgun out, knowing that the wall into the bar back store is going to blow open. This is a very common strategy for Thermites, and it's going to go. You've still got toxic canisters here, and E-Girl tosses one out. 20 more seconds left to throw out yet another toxic canister. But she's going to hold off, at least for the time being. She'll go over towards the default plant site. Hanamitsu finds Blue. White Stairs is gone. Shotgun missed. Oh, no, twice, but it won't miss a third time. And E-Girl will hop on in amidst the smoke with Lady Brutal there. OD in trouble. The two plant denial operators doing their best. The diffuser goes down, and they will live to see another day. Team Sinister Red will take the round at the very final second. Not enough coverage onto the diffuse. And we have round 11 in store for us.
Last 30 seconds being pandemonium, Parker. Tell me something that isn't more Siege. I will wait. But especially for that, you can see how the comms kind of just digress down to mere decimals of what they were, really, because we didn't have a cross being held by Mosmo as the diffuser went down. If she would have held the freezer door, that is all of a sudden a round one for OD. That diffuser goes down. The last remaining defender has to motion up to either try and stop that or take the gunfight over onto new drop. There's nothing really in the cards for them if that's held, but as you guys can tell, there's a lot of moments where it's, okay, I have 3 decisions to make. I have to make the proper one, but then there's a quick freeze. And they go, okay, for instance, Christmas wall open, someone down behind mini bar. One remaining member inside of Christmas from the defense. Throws the stun, goes, okay, I'm going to pick up the person. Oh, wait, I thought I heard something move. I peek, I die. Instances like that are something you can only gain experience with by playing the game. It isn't just, oh, hey, I saw this person do that, and now I understand how to handle the situation. Rainbow Six is a lot of trying to get your guessing games correctly, and the moment that you make a misstep is the moment that you're punished. It's a very brutal game at the end of the day, and we're obviously seeing that OD and Sinister are both learning that now.
Yeah.
10 seconds left.
You learn on the fly, and like I said, who knows exactly how much experience these teams have on Cafe. They could have played it once, they could have played it 5 times, they could be scrimming it, you know, a lot, but you know, it's tough to get that, and I mean, we don't do interviews, so I've not really had a chance to talk to any of the ladies on these teams, and you know, I would like to at some point, and maybe just get a greater idea of how they're playing and what they're looking towards. Because it was when I first started casting for CCS, that's what I'd do. I'd meet with all the teams ahead of a play day, and I would talk to them about exactly what's going on. Is that a default cam, Sam, that was left up that I saw?
The one that just got shot in my ears, I believe so, yes. It was the
been,
default cam.
Outside.
Yeah, that's something you don't see too often. That's something that when you play your ranked games, you go, who didn't shoot defaults? Like, it's who didn't do their job, man? Come on. But yeah, we are going to have one default left up. It's not going to deal too much information gain for the defense, as we are still on pretty good timing here. Not garbage time just yet, but Trip now with a very, very nice breaching round is actually going to, oh, that's so very dangerous. A quick rotate by E-Girl. Plenty of damage, but once again, the info gain just ringing true for this offense. Kai, though, with a quick rotation is going to save the life of E-Girl, but if she rotates in through meeting right now, it's going to spell disaster. E-Girl will fall. Kai no longer has really anything to vouch for here, as her comrade has bitten the dust, found her grave, and indeed rolled over. So now this offense, with all the map pressure in the world, at least for upstairs, has to try and get some of the self-destruction down.
It was a really smart play by Kai here. I mean, she wasn't able to save E-Girl, but was at least able to take Trippery out. And once Trippery falls, you put so much pressure on the rest of this team. I mean, you've seen really standout performances so far from Mo and Hanamitsu that you don't really need to worry too much about just one gun going silent, at least for the time being on OutDuced. It could possibly provoke an overtime or push us to overtime, depending on what happens in this round. You feel like the momentum turns at that point. And you can see this. You always see this. A minute left and so much hesitation and so much patience that comes in from the attackers because they don't want to screw it up. You don't want to flub this push because for OutDuced, these are some big points on the table here. And they could be possibly tossing it away.
Oh, Blue, power position, quick shot, Yazers goes down, and a massive pick by Lady Brutal as well. You said they didn't want to flub it, but it indeed, Parker, has been flubbed. They have the wall open. Mosmo gonna try and motion in. Has to worry about the ACOG over inside of Dining, though. It's gonna be Lady Brutal to capitalize. All of a sudden, it's all left up to Hanamitsu to try and pick up this round with only 17 seconds left. 23 rounds and 4 people to find. Plenty of bullets, but not enough time as Kai capitalizes and lays down in the grave that she has dug.
And I don't think Kai moved from reading at all after she got that initial pick onto Trippery inside of mining. She scampered off and then just sat there in reading, just completely undetected, I think. And even if they knew that she was there, they might have just isolated her or quarantined her in that spot and not really cared too much about it. I'm not entirely certain, but you could definitely feel like momentum is starting to shift. And this is OutDuced just playing a little bit sloppy, if I'm being honest. This is not the same team over the last 2 rounds that we saw, you know, over the previous 9 rounds. And it's been gunfights not necessarily being won. It's been some questionable decision-making from OutDuced. And I think they're very eager to get this game done. We see this with every team, no matter how practiced you are.
Yes.
Even the best teams in the world that have spent quite a lot of time together end up with difficulties closing games out. And right now, OutDuced is learning exactly what it's like to close out a game. This is tough against Team Sinister Red. And Team Sinister Red, who I said, you know, when we swapped sides and got a round or 2 into, I think, into the defense from Sinister Red, I said that OutDuced has played like the better team. I still think that's the case, but Sinister Red have really picked it up over the last couple rounds. And even though they didn't win every single one of them, they won the last 2, but before that, no. I think Team Sinister Red have been doing much better on defense. And like I said, a 4-2 when you're defending on Cafe is par for the course. And we are 1 round away, if Sinister Red wins this one, from fulfilling that prophecy.
Showing the exact same split, Parker, with rounds going towards defense and offense. And as you said, Cafe, it's the same as Clubhouse, man. A 4-2 split is something that we see almost every single time we see teams battle it out on these 2 respective maps. And this time it looks like it's not going to be anything of any difference. So we are going to have Kai actually now on Pulse instead of the Jaeger. Going to give the Jaeger over to Blue. Might be a comfort pick for Blue, wants to get more into the frag game, but Kai on the cardiac sensor, which is something we haven't seen too often inside of CCS. We've seen Pulse come back into the meta, not very recently, but he's been a long-standing of quite a few teams, Parker, in respective regions. And there's a main reason why. The cardiac sensor of Pulse is such a fantastic utility to try and build your team around. It's instant information. You can really coordinate almost every single member of your team just off of one person's utility. And that's something not a lot of operators inside of Rainbow Six Siege offer. Trip now, though, we've seen her do so well on these entry frags. She does have stun grenades, which could spell disaster for Kai. She's going to have to play this out properly. She knows she's there. She heard the window hop. Is she going to hear the sound, though? That R4C's report, definitely a telltale sign of demise, and Kai falters off as soon as we start talking about that cardiac sensor, it's going to be all for naught. And all of a sudden we have map control as meeting is getting played, or excuse me, as dining is getting played from white stairs. This is something we see happen quite often. Blue, though, doesn't look like she has any barbed wire or anything else of cause for concern for the offense. It's all the rotations coming in. Lady more than likely counting them on the cross as they now know how many people are inside of train.
Couldn't get over how quickly Trippery was able to just walk right in, and Sinister are obviously playing farther back. They could even be playing for a possible retake as they've got numerous people above. Down goes Trippery as the Valkyrie of Lady Brutal just reigns over top of her. It's a combination with E-Girl's smoke choking out the remaining life of Trippery. All the while, Kitbull with the fuser down. E-Girl will try to answer by tossing in a toxic canister, and it'll get Kitbull. Oh no, Kitbull off the board, and Sinister with another on the asters as Mosmo finds Lady Brutal. So you've taken out the Valkyrie from above, but Sinister still has decent coverage. They are indeed fighting for a retake here. Down goes Blue as she fruitlessly tries to take on Hanamitsu. Not many people have been able to win that fight so far today against the IQ, but just a tiny portion of HP could be the end of the IQ. Final smoke goes out, and indeed it will grab the IQ, taking even a tinier bit of HP off, but for the time being, Hanamitsu can go for a plant. She's up against a soft wall, 20 seconds left. Obviously biding their time as E-Girl now rotates, realizing that with the wall totally opened, the IQ, does she see the head of her? No, she looks the wrong way, thinking the default plant is from another direction. The commando doing a lot of damage. Hanamitsu on a tiny bit of HP, but Mo is down as well. And Team Sinister Red, I don't know if they're aware of this, but they have every single member of OutDuced dead. And for the second map in a row, Samuel Stewart, we are off to overtime.
We are indeed, Mr. Parker and Taro Makai. Would you have it any other way, Parker? We haven't casted for a while. It's always good to have good matches no matter what league you're casting, so always makes it a lot more interesting. And overall, this is what we've been talking about this entire time. Map pressure is such a big deal inside of this game, Parker. Just because you have one room dominated, no one else can take it away from you, does not mean you can do whatever you want. And that is what's going to get shown to OutDuced, apologies, get shown to OutDuced is that just because you had that one round, that one area of the map does not mean that you can possibly just go for a plant at your leisure. Every single other aspect of that entire map, Parker, was in the hands of Sinister everywhere. They had 4 people inside of train at one time. And that's exactly what's going to happen to you. You're going to get your angles collapsed on. They're going to make it where you can't rotate out. Even at this level of competitive siege, people still have that foresight to go, okay, if we just cut off this one door, they really can't do anything. And that's exactly what happened. They tried to rotate back out to mining, got punished. Tried to rotate into dining to get a plant down, get punished. All because they did not go through the proper avenues in order to take control of the map.
So defense has been the favored son here on 12 rounds. And if you are Team Sinister Red, you're very happy because you've just drawn the lucky straw. Now, I'm actually not totally certain if the team that picks first gets to pick OT. I know that in Pro League, when it's a best of 3, the teams that get to pick overtime, I'm not sure if it's randomized in CCS. That's me not necessarily knowing the rules here. I don't know, Sam, if you're familiar. I don't know if we've got production here that can possibly clear this up, but
I want to say, just because as we've known, CCS has been really on the forefront of a lot of rule changes in the past as opposed to what ESL has done, and we've seen it, a lot of it adapted to ESL quite often, but OT is apparently random. OT is random. We got that confirmed in the bottom right corner if anyone was paying attention, whereas it actually used to be that way for Pro League, as we both know. It used to be a coin flip. Overtime was what we called it, but now it is obviously picked by the team that did not obviously pick what side they wanted to start on.
Yeah. So this is a great benefit to Team Sinister Red, who, like we said, they're looking for their first victory. They come in as the second last team in the standings right now, and OutDuced were high enough up that this could have been a boon for them to possibly get into the upper echelon of the teams here. I believe they were 5th, if I recall correctly from my notes here. And I mean, they are playing with a sub, but I can't really say that Hanamitsu's been the problem. She's done exceptionally well so far.
That IQ play's been fantastic, and the one thing about IQ especially is knowing when to use her utility. A lot of people we see IQ and they just use her for the gun. She is one of the best utilities in the game on offense for getting rid of things. I mean, you can literally just walk under a lot of these sites that have soft destruction for flooring and shoot out 90% of their utility. And all of a sudden, there's no ADSs, no yokais, and the defense is just stuck completely utility starved with a couple of guns.
Cigar hold that we've seen from Sinister a number of times is very well supported. Usually has a yokai in there. You've got 1 or 2 players. Right now we see 2. Kai was playing very aggressively over towards the bar, but now she's much farther back by the couches, sitting on that bar backstore wall, which is the ultimate prize. And that's the real control that you get out of this site. The yokai may be undiscovered, at least for the time being, as it'll disorient the members of OutDuced, who just sit not too far from the opening created by the thermite. Kai under fire. She'll slowly inch her way back, just next to Anxiety. They'll both stare at the guns that will emerge from OutDuced over towards what is considered Pixel Spot. And OutDuced are really stumbling here. They have taken so long. And oh, Kai taking the head off a Trippery. Juice yourself back up. Hanamitsu finds Lady Brutal as the call to go towards the site. Who knows, as Anxiety eliminates Mosmo. And now Yassers takes out E-Girl. So it's a site execute, but Blue is there. Down goes Kitbull. That's your diffuser. That's your planter. Anxiety also gets in on the fun for the second time so far. And it's the fabled sub, Hanamitsu. She sees one body, but it might have been absorbed by the body of the thermite. She'll push out. No ammo left. Pistol in hand, but there's Blue. 2 kills for Blue. And Team Sinister Red on match point, Samuel.
It seems like the subs right now for both teams are just doing fantastic, whether, again, they are newly picked up or subs. We really don't know the answer to that just yet. But as of right now, I can tell you Blue as well as Hanamitsu doing fantastic jobs in their own respective roles. We'll have to see if we are going to get the Max OT Cafe, Parker. Cafe is a map that we actually see this pretty. I'd say this is the most Max OT map that I have seen in recent history. Is Cafe.
A Cafe loves to go here. I feel like it was old Clubhouse and old Villa as well when they were so defender sided.
Oh my God,
it's
yes.
Just like 4 2 5 1 6 zeros every now and then, and it's like you're just going to overtime all the time. Sam, I don't know what it is. Maybe I have the Flynn curse, but it's like I've watched CCS Women's League for the last 2 weeks, and most of these matches that we saw were pretty quick affairs, and now our 2 matches, it's 9:40, and we're not even on to our 3rd matchup yet. So buckle up, get your, well, in my case, sugar-free energy drinks now.
Ooh.
Thank you, diabetes. But for you, you can get whatever you'd like because it's going to be a long night.
How's it feel to know that Wave Check Valley is taking your job?
Well, he's not taking it. He's filling in for my job.
I know. I'm trolling.
Sam, how does it feel to know that it took 3 of you to replace me? I believe this is your seat if you'd like to take it, sir.
Well, it feels like I'm making more money. That's good.
I'm making money right
now. Oh God, I'm gonna miss you in Poland, man. I can tell you that. I can tell you that much.
I'll be back sometime.
At some point in time. Yeah.
For the meantime, I am casting CCS Women's League for the rest of the season. A lot of people think that I'm just casting today, by the way. That is correct. I am casting CCS Women's League for the remainder, well, maybe not the whole season, but until I'm back in Pro League. Until I am back in Poland casting Pro League, I will be casting every CCS Women's League that I can.
Well, fantastic, because this is actually
there's your announcement.
Yeah, this is going to be my last cast of the CCS Women's League, actually, because I got to go back to Poland 2 days from now. So
I am aware. Safe flight. Anyway, this matchup, Samuel. Team Sinister Red, a momentous occasion. They are 1 round away from their first victory of this season. They have done so with a pretty swift recovery over the last couple rounds, 3 unanswered rounds, actually, to choke off the match point scenario that OD was sitting on.
Trippy now playing inside of Pixel. Going to get marked out by the Jackal as well, but we're still going to have Hanamitsu. A lot of these teams, well, both of these teams actually, respectively, on defense, getting very aggressive on Christmas, Parker. This is something we don't see too often because we see a lot of window play usually by the offense on Cafe, but this time around, not so much. They get the Christmas wall open, try and get aggressive through Minimar, and then it's more of a 50-50 split as to who wins these gunfights. We've seen it go both ways. We'll have to see which side the coin lands on this time around. Tactical crossbow out in the hands of Capitao. That's going to be Lady Brutal as Jackal moves her way, and that's Kai. We've seen her win out quite a few of these gunfights. It's going to be a pre-fire into Couch as we do see the castle still laying down the midst of it all. Hanamitsu trying to win things out. Kai going to put 2 through the grinder, 1 a headshot. Going to be a quick double kill with the PDW. Blue to attack on as well. And all of a sudden, it's the offense all the way of Sinister. They're trying to find their first win of CCS Women's League, Parker. Still a yokai drone, though, as all that information is pouring in. Yazzers, with a proper move here, could spell disaster for this roster. Didn't seem like anyone was watching that flank, but quickly going to bump into 2 drones. Quickly going to hop down to Laundry from the hatch. This rotation needs to come out fast as Kit Bull all left alone on site. There's no breach to play off of here either, just has a reinforcement, or excuse me, a shield in front of her. But oh no, it's gonna be a quick move by E-Girl. It's a 1v5. Yazzers as Lady Bruzel kills Kai, but it's gonna be a Claymore to spell disaster. And Sinister Red with their first victory of CCS Women's League Season 1.
And what an occasion it is, Team Sinister Red, winning with the red beams of a Claymore on red stairs with the red poinsettias nearby. It's all coming together. And obviously, we talked about Skinergy. They're all running the red skins on their guns.
That's beautiful.
The ruby skin, I think it's called.
The ruby skin, yes. It's one of the gem skins all the way back from year 1.
A triumphant occasion from Team Sinister Red, and they will humble OutDuced and knock them down a little bit in the standings.